Welcome to the Patrick Real Estate Show, where we explore the fascinating world of real estate investing with your host, Patrick Switek. Patrick is a dynamic young entrepreneur and an accomplished real estate investor who's passionate about helping others achieve financial freedom. Each week, we sit down with some of the most inspiring individuals in the real estate industry and delve into their personal journeys, lessons learned, and secrets to their success. Let's dive into this week's episode.
Welcome to the Patrick Real Estate Show, everybody. Today we are joined by Justin Ford. He is, I feel like, a household name in this industry at this point. For the people that don't know who Justin is, he is the short-term rental safety at Breezeway, the director of short-term rental safety specifically. He does a lot of training programs on safety and short-term rentals. He helps property managers with safety. He has, if you're looking at the live version, he has danger on his shirt. This is debut of that shirt. He is the danger man. He is the one that saves you from all the danger. So without further ado, Justin, welcome to the show, man.
Awesome. I'm glad to be on here. I'm doing a lot of firsts today. I've never sat out here with this beautiful Maine Lake background, and I'm resting on a brand new hot tub safety handle that
there you go.
It came as a result of a personal incident I had.
So explain, what kind of personal incident?
I was working for a customer in Maryland, and a lot of times when I go do safety or risk evaluations and training, they'll put me up at the properties that they have. And this particular one had a hot tub, and I'm 6'5", and I was going up the steps to get in the hot tub. And when you step up to go over, where they positioned the steps was not the right entry location, and it's where the seats were, which are cupped. And so when my foot stepped down, I immediately slipped, and I got a pretty bad bruise on my leg, and I went, well, A, that's a bad location for those steps, and B, you need to have a railing. And that's also when I realized at age 53, I guess I need a railing now too. So I got a hot tub at my summer camp, but I've just installed the railing here too, just to make sure I can get in okay.
That's awesome. Hey, those are the things. What you being 6'5" actually gives you an advantage, right? Because you can actually test what tall people have to go through. So that's good. Right. Low ceilings, things like that. Cool. I do want to go into your story. Like, how did you end up in short-term rentals? Maybe give everyone a quick recap.
Yeah, I think I went into short-term rentals like most people do. You've got a piece of real estate and you realize that, wow, I could make some money off of this. I had a little slight twist in the sense that I had a boat rental. I had one boat. It was an 18-foot power boat. And this is back in 1997, and I decided to rent it out in the local newspaper, and I had some guests that came in and rent it. And when I went to go deliver it to them, I said, so is this your house? And they went, no, we're renting it. I'm like, you're renting this house? This is a beautiful house. How much is this? And they told me whatever thousands of dollars they were spending to rent this house. And I'm like, geez, my house on the lake is as nice as this. Holy smokes. I went and found a rental company that they were the same one they were using. And I shifted quickly to renting houses because I thought that was a good way to go. And sure enough, rented my own house out for a number of years.
What year was this?
That was in 1997. Airbnb didn't exist. VRBO didn't exist. And in fact, to advertise and rent your property, the management company came in April, took pictures, which weren't flattering pictures. So they were all black and white because in April in Maine, it's still kind of spring dreary. And they sent out a book and to potential people who wanted to rent or who had inquired through ads in magazines, the New York Times. And then if someone wanted to rent your house, they mailed a check in. And they often would fill out a slip saying, this is my first choice, second choice, these are the weeks that I wanted. And so you'd get a letter in the mail in June that your house has been rented these certain weeks to these number of people.
I feel like I'm talking to Grandpa about back in the day, how things were running. No, but it was the progress we've made since then has been crazy.
Yeah.
So how many rentals have you owned since then?
I think I've probably owned 8 or 9. I've owned in Utah, here in Maine, where I'm based out of, and had one down North Carolina for a bit as well.
Okay. And you are also, you just mentioned this before the show, you are building one next door to where you're at right now.
Building one right now. It's going to be the
There you go.
safest vacation rental on this lake.
On this lake, not in the US. You
Oh,
know what that's scam?
I'm going to be honest with you. It's not practical for me to put a sprinkler system in up here. That would be the ultimate to do that. We're on a well, and it's not going to be necessary. But obviously, if you've got a sprinkler system, a fire sprinkler system in your property, that gives you some extra advantage.
There you go.
Yep.
And how did you go from that to becoming the safety guy? How did you
Yeah.
transition into that? Because I know you also have a Coast Guard, you're a Coast Guard member and you're a
Yep.
firefighter, so that's also important, right?
Yeah, I had all those backgrounds, and I'm sure people have these claims all over the country. I hear it all the time, all over the world. Where I grew up in Maine, it's a hardy area. The population of Maine is still smaller than the population of the entire New York City or even Nashville, Tennessee. We're not even a million people. We're a small state, even though
Mhm.
we're a big state. And so Target and Walmart are, for me to go to a Target's a 2 hour drive. You
Wow.
just get thrifty growing up here and learning how to do things. Maybe our common sense gets a little higher than others. I don't know. But I got to that level and I owned that one house that I had turned into 600. I just kept going, managing houses and saying I can do this and making commission off it. And by 2013 had the largest vacation rental company in the entire Northeast.
There you
And
go.
completely blindsided one day. Here I am, Coast Guard background firefighter, and I had an injury in one of my properties,
Oof.
and it permanently disabled a guest. And there was lawsuits. I almost lost everything, and it had me stop and go, wait a minute. I grew up in Maine. I got all this safety background, and yet I still let this happen. I can't believe I did, but how was I supposed to know? And I'm a pretty sharp guy, and if I didn't know to prepare for this, what about everybody else? What are they doing? And it was then that I looked around and realized that there was nothing addressing safety, and yet more and more people were getting injured and killed in short-term rentals.
Wow.
Yeah.
So obviously that's a big life-changing thing that happened with the lawsuits. I'm from California, so I'm in a very lawsuit-friendly state, meaning a lot of everyone wants to sue everybody, and we've definitely already had a couple altercations with guests like that for seemingly smaller things. So I can only imagine what would happen with a big issue. So we have insurance up the wazoo. But I just want to go into maybe let's start talking about how obviously you consult a lot of people around the country on their short-term
Yeah.
rental. There are other like property managers as well. What is like the word of advice that you give to property managers as a starting? Let's start from the beginning. When you
Yes.
walk into a house, like what is the first thing that you do when you do an analysis across the board?
One thing I'd like to do, and it might tie it all in
Mhm.
together,
Yeah.
is you're in California. Let's just talk about an incident that happened there with a homeowner that if she had done everything right and what she should have done and what happened. You had a deck collapse in Malibu at a vacation rental a few years ago, and it
Oh
made
boy.
tons of news in the greater Los Angeles metro area when this happened, and it actually grew into national news. And what you had was someone who bought this beautiful oceanfront short-term rental deck hanging out over the beach and the ocean, and she intended to rent it. And so she brought in a home inspector. Now, I have nothing against home inspectors. Home inspectors are great, but they're there to often, generally, most people hire them at the point of real estate transactions. So they're there to make sure that the roof doesn't have leaks, you've got electrical to code, different things. And they looked at the deck and they said, yeah, deck seems good. I don't know what they did, but they didn't do enough. And one of the things that didn't happen, and this is where there's a huge fault and where I've tried to fill that gap, is they didn't say, hey, we're going to let the general public come stay at our house. We're going to offer this now as a short-term rental. That changes everything. And a home
Mhm.
inspector should know that because the use of the property is completely different from the general public versus someone who lives there.
Because people stand, let's say there's 10 people standing on the deck at the same time and there's kids running around, like there's multiple factors. Is that kind of what you're alluding to?
Yeah, there's a lot of different things that are going to come into play. I always tell people, have you ever gone to your short-term rental, towing a piece of luggage Holding your cell phone with driving directions or the lockbox code in front of you and using it as a flashlight and trying to navigate from your car into the house. Have you ever done that? And most people will tell you, no, why would I do that? But you're asking all these guests that have never been to your property to do that. And if you're like me, Patrick, every person who comes to visit me, I go out and greet them. Hey, Mike, glad to see you. Come on in. We're going to have some dinner. We're having people we don't know anything about show up, and we're asking them to walk through a maze, essentially, to get there. And so this house in Malibu was supposed to be rented for 6 people. That's all that we're allowed to be there. But the general public doesn't follow the rules. They decided to host a birthday party there, and they invited over 30 people. And there's nothing that can really stop you from doing that, but the reality has to be, if that deck had been inspected and was a good quality deck, it would hold 30 people. But the deck was rotten. It had rot in it, and the inspectors didn't get it. The inspector,
so who's liable for that then?
This is the crazy part, and this is still to my knowledge, this is still an ongoing lawsuit, and this is 4 years old now, because the homeowner is trying to say, I only allowed 6 people in my home, and they brought in more than that. Yet the homeowner didn't have in her agreement or anything that no events are allowed. So does 6 people mean overnight, or does 6 people mean at the property? When I was the property manager, we had a whole separate agreement for events. We defined in our rental agreement what an event was. An event was whenever you have more than 1.5 times the occupancy at your house. And so you got all these people getting injured going, we just came, this deck should have been to code and it wasn't. Yeah, we were more than 6, but it was more, the deck should have held. So that's where you get all this big dispute. Each side has a very good argument about where they should have been. And the whole thing could have been solved if the homeowner had better agreements, had done a better inspection, and if the renters had done a better job to communicate, hey, we would have liked to have a party here, all that kind of stuff.
But once again, would the owner maybe let 10 people, 12 people in, during the day, potentially? I think maybe better just to fix the root cause of the issue and just catch to begin with. But once again, how do we catch something like that as a property manager? Look, you had 600 units. How do you maintain safety across 600 units? I feel like that's the question.
That is the question, and it's got to be at the core of what you do. You have to decide. Safety is important to you, because if you don't, none of this matters. And I run into people all the time. I had a phone call from one of them last week. Like you mentioned, people generally know who I am when I go through the airports now. Hey, you're that safety guy. It's pretty cool, but I had a guy, hey, I know you do all that safety stuff, and that's great, and I'm going to do that at some point. But hey, we just had somebody die in one of our properties, and it involved the pool latch not working, the pool gate not working, and I'm trying to figure out how to navigate this, because it turns out that although they signed an indemnity clause in my rental agreement, that's not going to cover it if my pool gate wasn't being maintained. So how do I get out of this, and what do I do? And I'm like, I don't do after. So a lot of people think that insurance is going to cover them, and that's the biggest mistake you can make. So first core thing you have to do is recognize insurance, indemnities, rental agreements, they are as good as toilet paper if you have a safety incident at your property and someone dies. So you have to take into account that I'm going to care about my guests, and that's where I'm going to start from. Safety is important to me.
Got it. But that's crazy. So you're thinking that it doesn't matter with insurance, with everything else you have, it doesn't really help in these incidents?
When someone dies, absolutely not. But the insurance companies don't want to pay claims. They want out. There's a lawsuit, for example, in South Carolina right now where a guest fell off of a deck that the handrail was rotten. The insurance company's going, we're not paying that claim. Your deck was rotten. The deck was 22 years old. The life expectancy of a deck in America is 15. That should have been replaced. That's a defect of the property. We're not covering it. So now he's suing the insurance company because they're not covering the claim. So we see that more and more now. When you've got negligence, is that you could have done something or known something wasn't safe and you didn't do anything about it. The insurance companies don't want to cover and protect you.
Interesting.
Yep.
So maybe let's talk about obviously some things that as a property manager you could do to be able to avoid some of these things. For the way that we operate with our management company, and obviously it's important because the way we manage rentals is we have one property manager for every 10, 12 homes. And we do that specifically because we want to make sure that each of those managers like maintain those homes like it's their own.
Yep.
I'm not interested in working with the business model of trying to get as many homes as possible. I'm just curating the kinds of homes that we need that are going to generate the money that we can support with the safety. The last thing I want is somebody that's penny pinching and always, and then puts myself and company in the liability with them if something happens with the guest. So it's something that's like a core thing. They're not looking to replace it. And it's not only just a safety thing, but also just in general, like something that's a functioning amenity of the place. Like, for example, like this one owner is pushing back to not buy a stove. I'm like, you need a stove. We shouldn't be nickel and diming over a stove, guys. This is like a core, like standard thing. And we're not going to be able to manage this if you guys don't have the standards that we set. So I'm curious, what can we do? Obviously, we have to field what inventory we take in. That's, I'm sure, part of it. But now that we have the inventory or the homes, what are some things that we can proactively do to make sure, maybe a checklist for onboarding or what? Like, maybe you can walk us through that.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, you're the future of our industry. That's the business model that works. I've seen it work over and over. I've been in the industry now for 28 years. The people who are the most successful are 100% quality versus quantity and doing the right thing over and over. So I love that. The second thing is when it comes to safety, I don't want to scare anybody away. Like we just said, I'm building one right now. I love this industry. The one cool thing about safety is it's the one thing that you can do following checklists, and I'll talk about those in a second, but if you follow those, it's the one thing you can do and actually get right. Because you're never going to have every guest like the mattress, the Wi-Fi speed, the views. Someone could come here to my property and go, these views are terrible. I want to see big mountains. I don't want to see flat land. What? Okay. You never can make everybody happy, but you can make your property safe. And I'm not talking like you're going to come in wearing the sumo wrestling suit that they have for Halloween, so you just bounce off everything.
Have you seen the Nathan For You episode on that?
Yes, I love that.
That's really what I was thinking through my head. The antique store where he brings that drunk guy to walk through to get a slice of pizza and knocks over all the antiques, and that's how they make their money.
Exactly. But you can do it. So you've got to come in with that foundation. And on your checklist, first and foremost, we have to recognize the number one cause of injury in a short-term rental is slips, trips, and falls. And it happens in the first hour or two. It's when we see it. It's usually after dark.
First hour. Interesting. Okay.
Yep. Guests are arriving at that property. You got landscaping that's growing out onto the walkway. You didn't leave the lights on. It only takes the thickness of a nickel to create a trip hazard, and as we age, we become more likely to fall. 30% of our guests are over the age of 60. As you get over 60, that's when that can happen. So you've got to go through your property and follow these different checklists, a lot of them leading to the slips, trips, and falls, guardrails, handrails. All these things need to be up to code. Anybody who has kids looking for a career, forensic architects are huge. In fact, AI has changed. People don't do enough to talk about how AI is now going through. I know law firms that are using AI to scrape properties and recognize where huge hazards are.
They're going to get even better at doing this ambulance chasing thing.
It's crazy. So you've got to make sure that your house is up to code, and there's no such thing as grandfathering. So I have developed all the checklists that you should go through. You got a wood fire chimney, inspect it once a year. You've got a hot tub, it's got to be grounded. The switch has to have a sticker on it that says it's emergency shut off. You got to have the safety handrail, and you need someone who's certified to change and check the water. If you've got a pickleball court, here's the things that you need to do. If you're offering kayaks, you got to provide life jackets. So there's a checklist to go through all these things, and it's all based on insurance data. We work with Proper Insurance, they're the largest insurer of vacation rentals, and we know where their claims are coming in. Nobody really goes to an insurance company and go, hey, where are you getting claims? So I'm an outlet.
Where are their claims coming through? Because that's interesting. I know we're going off track, but where are their claims coming from?
Slips, trips, and falls are the big ones.
Trips and falls.
Yep. They get the
like
big ones.
Stairs? Like usually stairs or...
Rugs, carpets are a big one. If I had my druthers, and you won't see a rug or a carpet in my only one, a mud mat designed for it, because the edges curl on them. I get it. But they're only for aesthetics. Hardwood floors completely throughout.
Interesting.
Those type of things cause those trips and falls.
So, but I guess it also depends on where you're at, right? Because, for example, like we're in California. I just went to Broken Bow just to check out. We have a few units. Yeah, I'll get to that in a
Broken Bow, Oklahoma.
I'll get to that in a sec. I'm sure you know where this is going. So I have one client that got us like 8 units in Broken Bow. So we were introduced us to other guys. So it's 2 guys. But we're not intending to expand there. We're focused on Joshua Tree. We have this offshoot from a client. So we decided to check it out because we want to show face, right? And we want to see what's going on there. And so we showed up, and we're from California, so we're used to like strict regulations. You got everything has to be a T. Like if it's over X amount of feet for the deck, it's got to have a handrail. Like it's all built in already. And then we also have a younger demographic that comes out, right? So when I say younger, millennials. So like millennials, like maybe Gen X as well. But we don't have a lot of older people that come out to the park. It's more of a young crowd. But the one thing is we went to Broken Bow. No building code. Yep. There's people can just whip something out, and I'm like, wait. I'm like, how is this? I literally walked a new build. I'm like, wait, how is that legal? There's like this like spiral staircase, and there's like no guardrails on. I'm like, how the heck is this even built? And it's like, how does this pass construction? We don't got none of that up here. I was like, no. What?
Yeah, go talk to the Broken Bow fire chief. Ask him how many short-term rentals have burned down in his town. And they don't even have a fire department because it's remote, so they're bringing in from the county or the other towns. They've had so many there. It's I'm not going politics on this, but I'll just tell you real quick. We see more safety incidents in red states than blue states. And Oklahoma's a red state, California's a blue state. Regs change everything. Texas, Arizona, Florida have the highest amount of pool drownings. California is up there, but not nearly as many, even though there's more pools. You take Palm Springs.
We literally have to have, like pool stuff. Like you need to have a fence on the pool or else you won't get your short-term rental permit. It's crazy.
Palm Springs, California, 2015 put in the strictest safety regulations at short-term rentals in the world. They had more pools per capita than any other town in the entire world, and they had pool drownings. And they put in requirements for 5-year electrical inspections, pool safety equipment. Everyone said that's the death of the short-term rental industry in Palm Springs. 2025, there are now more short-term rentals than there were 10 years ago, and there haven't been any pool drownings, fires, or deaths. They've completely put a nip on it. So they do work, and Broken Bow will catch up sooner or later. They haven't had enough losses yet. It's not an organized community, but yeah, I've seen them.
Interesting. That whole thing is because everyone's all about investing in red states. Everyone's, you should invest in red states. It's the best place to invest because of the regulations are not that strict. But then the other side of the coin is how many incidents are you going to run into? The possibility of fire.
Think about it from a guest perspective, and guests are picking up on this.
Yeah.
I don't want to go stay in a community where vacation rentals don't have safety inspections or regulations. I'd like to know that where I'm going to go stay is safe with my family. And I have people who tell me that all the time now, all the time. I actually had an email this morning from somebody saying, hey, Justin, we're looking at going and staying in Topsail Beach, North Carolina. Do you know, we were looking, we didn't see what their safety regs are. Do you know what they do down there for safety inspections? And I'm like, yeah, that's the Broken Bow of the East. They've had a lot of fires in short-term rentals. Maybe look up the road a little bit. There's some other communities that have some better stuff. You've got to think about that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Because the guests are thinking that way.
Do you think actually guests are thinking that way? Because I've never thought of, maybe I'm just a bad guest, but I've never thought about that.
They just did a survey of luxury travelers and asked them about their accommodation choices and found that 62% of luxury travelers have never stayed in a short-term rental, and the reason for that is safety. They don't believe that they would rather go stay at a resort because they feel like a resort is a safer experience for their family. Those are luxury travelers. Wow. Imagine the millions of people who have a lot of money to spend if we go out and market and say, hey, our product is just as safe as staying at the Sheraton Resort in Costa Rica or Fiji or whatever. Come stay at this rental property, state-of-the-art fire sprinkler system, commercial alarm system, great fences, all the pool safety equipment. This is where your family should stay. They're going to have a safer experience.
Do you believe that if you make the safest, let's say you're building a short-term rental right now. If you say, I will make the safest short-term rental in the state of Maine.
Yeah.
Do you think that advertising will bring in travelers? Like that will convert to travelers?
Absolutely. You can't.
I'm shocked.
I don't believe that you can necessarily make that your headline. There's a woman in Vermont, and your listeners can Google this right now. If you Google safe Airbnb, Waterbury, Vermont, she shows up organically. Number one in the state of Vermont is safe Airbnb. Sometimes she shows up number one in the world. There's a couple people who've listened to me. There's now safe Airbnb in New York, safe Airbnb Poconos. So people are using it. She's booked solid all the time. And she saw an 11-point lift. Most of the people who reach out to her are now saying, hey, I know you're booked this week. Do you know of any other properties that are safe? My family wants that. So it's not everybody, but there's a segment of families that are looking for that. I thought it was too aggressive with the marketing to make it safe mountain retreat, but I would certainly fit those words in. Great family retreat, and then in the description, come have a relaxing and safe stay at our property. The views are incredible, and we have a huge commitment and focus on safety. We have the best top of the line fire sprinkler systems, blah, 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 blah.
Interesting. Wow. So I'm thinking like out loud. So like we don't think much about safety, maybe because I'm in California, things are much more regulated. And so, but that doesn't mean issues can't happen. It's eye-opening. Thinking about safety and the marketing, and obviously you can market behind it. I'm thinking out loud the way that the person that really books the short-term rental in majority of cases is, from what I found, is women. I don't know if you found the same thing.
I agree. 75% of the people who go through our safety program are women.
Okay. That's crazy because I was saying 75% of the people that book Airbnbs are women. Yeah. More or less. That was just a rough estimate. But so they care about that because obviously they feel responsible for taking care of the family and making sure that they're safe.
The evening news in America, Lester Holt, all the other guys, they're not coming on every week saying, hey, another family had a great vacation at this vacation rental in the Outer Banks. They're coming on saying, death tonight. 7 people died in Wisconsin Dells in an Airbnb that had no working smoke alarms. Death tonight in California. 4 people died when they weren't notified of the wildfire coming in at the Airbnb. There has been so much negative news. We had 15 people die in hotels last year. 3 people died on cruise ships. All the negative news that's getting pounded out in America is around people dying in short-term rentals. They're not hearing it about the other ones. And even when they die on the cruise ships, it's because they jumped overboard. It's not because a cruise ship caught on fire and people died. It's short-term rentals that are getting that bad rap worldwide as being an unsafe accommodation.
Do you think, and this could get political, but do you think that Airbnb should be governing or requiring certain safety regulations, or maybe there's a platform that does do that will allow more people to want, like a short-term rental platform for safe certified Airbnbs or short-term rentals, like maybe that would be, or safe verified filter or something like that, so that people feel safe? Or is that too much liability? And
here's the thing, and that I talk about this type of topic in my LinkedIn posts all the time. In fact, I talked about it over the weekend. Airbnb, their CEO came out and said that they're looking at shifting to hotels as the end game. And my comment was, wait a minute, hotels are the most regulated form of accommodation. So you're going to bail on short-term rentals because you don't like the regulations that are coming to go to the most regulated side of safety? Why don't you embrace what it is? But I get that it's hard. I mentioned that when I first was renting my home out in 1997, it was advertised in the New York Times. The New York Times had no accountability. They didn't verify my home. I rented it. That is still today how the OTAs perceive themselves. They're a modern version of the New York Times. So it's not their responsibility to make the property safe in their mind. And I think that they believe that if they were to put in a lot of safety requirements, they would lose a lot of inventory.
Mm.
So it's a business decision on their part to say, look, that's up to the homeowner. You follow your local regulations and do that. And you look what happened in New York. Airbnb got pushed out over regulations, and what did the hotels do? They jacked the rates. So they did it. The
I'm
hotels are
staying
again.
in New York. I feel that
Yeah.
pretty soon. So I saw the rates was like minimum $500 for something decent
The hotel
per
industry
night.
is going to spend millions this year fighting short-term rentals, and they know regulations is the hard way to do that.
Yep. I see it all the time. And also in Joshua Tree, people are like, there's a whole movement of go back to LA, like that kind of movement. People really don't like short-term rentals. You gotta be
Safety
careful.
is the
Sorry?
solution to all
Yeah.
of it. Safety is the solution. Here's the thing. If
You
you look
think
at the
safety over noise and community disruption?
yes, because it
'Cause I feel like
solves
that's
it.
common.
Safety
Okay.
solves these problems. So you take Gatlinburg, Tennessee right now. They put heavy safety regulations in. They're requiring stuff I wouldn't even require. And part of
Interesting.
that is at higher occupancy homes. So if you look in that market, you'll see there's a lot of high occupancy short-term rentals for sale right now. And a lot of them are coming with seller credits. And at first someone's going, wait a minute, this gorgeous house is for sale and they're giving me a $90,000 seller credit? That's fantastic. And then they realize the only way that house can continue to rent is if a sprinkler system is installed, and it's going to cost 90 grand to do that. So that's why there's a seller credit. That's why I say investing in safety is good, because as the regs come along, if you go in and make your property safe and meet all that, the regs are going to catch up with that, and now you can sell it and it's going to be more valuable for it. But here's why safety is the solution for your community and having safety regs. We've seen it over and over. Sedona, Arizona, Palm Springs, California, West Hollywood, California recently. They put safety in as the first and foremost. You want to rent your property in our community, it needs to meet these strict safety guidelines. And as soon as people adhered to that, they fell into line naturally with trash, parties, parking. All of that got cleaned up because now they're following these safety codes to do everything to make sure everything's safe. And then get this, if they didn't want to play the game, they sold their property, and guess what? Now it put it back out on the market and you solved your affordable housing problem. So safety at a base solves all the issues for a community.
So wait, back up on, are you correlating safety with making sure the homes are, but I still don't understand, the whole idea of noise, right? Noise and disturbance and how that,
Noise
how's
and
that tied?
disturbances aren't coming out of houses with property managers. Hosts and operators that have a strong focus on safety are better operators all around. That's what the statistics show. Is that in all forms and fashions of things? People who grow their own food, they're much more focused on the environment. People who drive Priuses probably care about the environment. People who care about their property to make sure that it's safe are good hosts and operators versus, and I see them all the time, the opposite of you. People are just trying to take on as many as they can, make a quick buck. I don't know. That neighbor's complaining about the parties. Let's just keep going. Eventually we'll lose it, but let's make as much money as we can until that
In
happens.
the short term, very not sustainable short term. Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting. That's obviously we went off on a tangent of, I think, a lot of the landscape and where the future will hold for safety. And I think that's really interesting. I didn't even know there was a correlation between safety and higher booking revenue. So that's something I didn't think about. But now let's go back. Let's talk about the foundation. Like you said, safety. What is safety? I know slip and fall. We talked about slip and fall, and that's a really big one. But what are the things that we're doing throughout? Let's walk into a short-term rental, Justin, right?
Yeah.
We're envisioning this. Yeah, let's say this. You're coming into Joshua Tree. Or I'm inviting you to Joshua Tree. I never know. Have you been in the desert before?
Oh, yeah, I've been to Joshua Tree many times. I love Joshua Tree.
Awesome. You should stay with us next time you're there. But
I will.
we have 100 rentals. We're happy to host you. Let's say that you come out again and we let you stay, or you go to a rental. What is the first things you're looking at? Let's walk through like the list. Like what's your head analyzing?
Yep. The first thing I'm doing is I'm thinking about access to the property. How easy is it to find? And a lot of people don't think about this. Can I see the address? Is it clear? Are there trees, bushes, things that are blocking it? That address marker is a life-saving feature we've seen over and over, because likely Because when you're sending out information to your guests to tell them where to stay, likely you're not giving them any other information than the address. And if you're calling the property the Desert Comet, or you're calling the property the Desert Retreat, that doesn't mean anything to a 911 operator.
So a 911 operator, they want to be able to access the house. They need to know where it is and what it looks like. So there needs to be some kind of marker. That makes sense.
Yep. Got to
Okay.
be able to find it. And you've got to recognize that it can't be blocked. I go all the time to short-term rentals where normal living at this 3-bedroom house is that there's 2 cars there. But now when it's a short-term rental, they got 8 cars there. And hello, the Suburban blocks the address. Those seconds can make a difference, because then get this. How do the guests know to report where they are? My guess is you're not different than anyone else, where you're sending one email to one guest telling them all the address information and the instructions. So what happens when it's that guest that's having an emergency? How does everybody else know to say we're at this location and make sure that people can get there? Because 30% of people turn off location services on their phone because they don't want Big Brother to find them. So all of that information in the beginning is critically important. And I'm looking at it going, can an ambulance get in this driveway? Can someone get here to save me and rescue me? Are they going to easily be able to find this property? And if they're not, what can I do to improve that situation?
But what about if you don't even have the address on Google Maps? Sometimes takes you to a wrong address. That's a big one I see. But I also see some people don't have cell service in some parts of town. Is that a safety concern?
Huge safety concern. In fact, I worked with Tahoe. Any of your listeners up at Lake Tahoe,
there you
if
go.
you have a short-term rental where it's 2 bars of signal or less by all major carriers, you're now required to have a landline phone for that reason. That's something as an operator you need to think about. If you care about your guests, that should be the first and foremost. I'm going to make money off of people I care about. And if you care about them, recognize they're not thinking about what happens in an emergency. You've got to set that up for them. And if they're not going to have good cell service, you need to get them a landline.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a big issue. There's Wi-Fi, but once again, if you don't load up the Wi-Fi instructions, you're kind of done for.
And we see these incidents all the time. They become massive lawsuits. There was a gentleman who died of a heart attack at a vacation rental on the island of Maui in Hawaii. 10-minute delay because he couldn't figure out where he was. They won and got a huge settlement because there was no information at the property for them to use to describe where they were. And it was the man who got the directions. He had the heart attack and died. His wife, she panicked. She didn't know what to do. No one set her up for an emergency.
Interesting. Dang. Okay, so we're at the house now. Obviously, let's say all of that's locked in. We're good. This is off a paved road. We're good. Now, actually, what if it's not off a paved road and there's damage to the car? Is there liability? Is that safety liability on the host?
No. Till you get there, that's on you. It's nice to tell your guests, hey, you want to have a 4-wheel drive, the road's but rocky or whatever. The next thing we're going to think about is alcohol. We got to put our beer goggles on. There's a recent survey that came out that said that 72% of Americans acknowledge they're going to get intoxicated once on vacation. 50% of those people say they don't do that in their own home. So now they're coming to your home that they're not familiar with.
Oh boy.
And they're going to get intoxicated. It creates a whole different environment. Your property doesn't just need to now be at baseline. It needs to be at baseline plus. And you got that green herb that people like to.
Oh, we have a lot of weed. Weed and shrooms is like our that's what everyone takes. Sometimes you'll find like cocaine and some other drugs, some heavy drugs. It's California.
Drug use is so high in short-term rentals. It's crazy. And think about it, Patrick. You said you're in a hotel in New York right now. What happens?
No, not right now, but I'm going. Yeah.
So when you're in your hotel room in New York and you get drunk and party and make too much noise, what happens?
They come up and they shut it down.
Security comes up and takes you down. Same thing on a cruise ship. Short-term rentals are the only form of public accommodation that we are unsupervised. And people can do things much more in the private. And now they're drinking and doing this. So you just use that for smoke alarms. And this leads into the most important thing in a short-term rental. The very next thing I'm going to check when I've walked in is when I close my eyes, which I'm going to do a third of my time that I'm in your property. Is there some way to notify me and let me know that I need to get up? And is it a good smoke alarm? And does it have batteries in it? Is it interconnected? if there's a fire in the kitchen, I know about it in the bedroom right away because I have less than 3 minutes to get out because all the IKEA and Wayfair furniture with all the formaldehyde and the chemicals are going to create this thick black smoke very quickly and make it much harder for me to get out. And so smoke alarms are important, but kids 2 to 12 don't wake up to smoke alarms because they're kids. Elderly don't wake up to smoke alarms because they can't hear. And people who are intoxicated don't wake up to smoke alarms because they're drunk. So we're putting people in properties, and are we meeting those basic standards? 95 decibels is where we should be. Standards are 75, and 75 isn't enough. Most smoke alarms on the market today will produce 85 decibels. That's not enough to wake someone intoxicated. I got a 15-year-old daughter. I still can't wake her up with a smoke alarm. The last time I did the test a few weeks ago, she was, "Dad, did you do that thing last night? I think I heard something beeping." I'm like, "Yeah." And they're in an unfamiliar location. So most important thing, I don't care if you're offering a cave for rent, you need to have the best possible smoke alarms possible so that your guests can wake up and get out.
Interesting. Yeah, that's definitely, they require all of that, but they don't tell you what decibel they require.
No.
They just say you need it.
I go through it all in my course. Here's a tip from the safety course that I have. On your phone, you can download a free decibel meter. Use it. Go up into your bedroom, close the door. I want you to do this tonight, Patrick. Go into your room. There's a record feature on the decibel. Set it on your pillow. Go down to the kitchen. That's the most likely cause of a fire. Close your bedroom door and set off the closest smoke alarm to your kitchen stove. Then go back up to your bedroom. If you don't see 85 decibels having been recorded from that free app on your phone, you're not meeting the basic minimum standards to wake yourself up in a fire.
Interesting. Got it. Wow. Yeah. I'm not going to do that because I'm in an apartment, so.
You probably got a nice alarm system there, but hopefully
it's very nice. I could tell you because they've run tests on it and it's annoying as hell, but I guess that's what you need. Cool. So obviously, okay, so you have the smoke alarms. That's huge. And that's easy. I feel like that's the easy one. It's going to cost like.
It should be, but you have to remember, don't buy smoke alarms on price. If you're going to Home Depot or Lowe's, you've already made a huge mistake. Home Depot and Lowe's don't sell the best smoke alarms. If you're using a consumer brand, I like First Alert. They haven't had a recall since 2006, and you need to know what a dual detection alarm is. It's detecting through ionization and photoelectric sensors versus one or the other. So
what does that mean?
So ionization detects smoke, whereas photoelectric detects fire better. Gotcha. So one works better than other. As a firefighter, I would go into fires where there was such thick smoke you couldn't see your hand in front of you, but the alarm hadn't gone off yet, and it was a photoelectric alarm. And there's all kinds of tests. You can look at YouTube videos. They talk about all the time. The U.S. Fire Administration can't even decide which is better. They actually, if you go on the U.S. Fire Administration's website, federal government, it specifically states that due to the fact of inconsistencies, they recommend that you have both a photoelectric and ionization detector in your home, in your spaces. And fortunately, like I said, First Alert, and there's a couple other companies that make that dual detector sensor, not combo. Don't put the carbon monoxide alarm in there. Those don't belong in your smoke alarm. Those should be separate.
Cool. In that sense, the standard that you buy at Home Depot, what is it? The ionization, or is it the
most of the ones at Home Depot or Lowe's are photoelectric? And here's the thing, and people always say, then why do they sell those? The U.S. government just wants you to have one, and only 80% of Americans have a smoke alarm, and then on top of that, only about 48% of them actually work. Most of them don't have a battery in it, are dusty, disconnected. So when the push is so strong to just get people to even have one, that's why they haven't gone to that next level and gone, oh, by the way, there are Prius versions and there are Mercedes versions. And like Google Nest, they just discontinued them because they're junk. They don't make them anymore.
Interesting.
And everyone I used to talk to who was a host went, oh, I've got the Google Nest. It's awesome. I can tell if the power's out. I'm like, there's other ways to tell if the power's out. It's never going to wake you up if there's a fire. Consumer Reports only gave it a score of 51. You want a smoke alarm in your house that scored 51? 70 is passing.
That's funny. Oh, man. Hey, I'll be honest. I'm the guy that just goes and gets one at Home Depot.
I know. You're the majority.
Yeah, but at least I have one. I'm part of the 80%.
This is
I don't
why I
know.
have a job, Patrick. And it's
Yeah, right.
working. It's working because people are going, wait a minute. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Many years ago, my daughter wanted to do a sleepover, and I'm that guy because this is what I do. You're not sleeping over unless I make sure they got smoke alarms. They didn't have one in their basement, and
You
the
checked
father,
out their house, or did you
hell
ask
yeah,
them?
my daughter's sleeping there. And
Ah,
so
dang.
he put one in the basement because I recommended he do that, and they had a
Oh,
fire
that's
six
really
months
nice.
ago. The only thing that saved their family was because he had
Are you
installed
serious?
that.
You had a fire?
Yeah, had a fire 6 months later. I go to my daughter's basketball games, and sometimes they get taps on the shoulder, and they go, "Hey, your daughter's never slept over at my daughter's house, but can you do that thing you did for Mike?" I'm like, "Yeah." People don't think
Holy
about it,
moly.
and then these incidents happen, and they're like, "Holy
Does it
crap!"
happen more in certain places in the country, or you said like red states? Does it happen more in red states, or is that
That's more of a regulation type of
more
thing.
regulation for short-term rentals? Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
it's more population based, but it is crazy. We had over almost 4,000 people died in America in structure fires last year. 4,000 people, that's more than all the shootings. We're not going to take their guns away, so that's going to be really hard. We can't solve
Wow.
that one. But
Yeah.
imagine that there are more people dying just because they don't have working smoke alarms, and it's because they haven't taken 5 seconds since kindergarten to know what home safety is.
What is that like? That's $30 or something like for a
30
smoke
bucks.
alarm? Yeah.
$38 for the best smoke alarm sold. I find them at True
Crazy.
Value or Ace Hardware's, those dual detection ones. And it's just because
Damn.
they don't teach us that in school. They teach us whole focus of safety education in America is at the kindergarten grade level. And the focus is so that you know what to do in an emergency and how to get out. And
Yeah.
at the end, you get a cool red plastic hat and a sticker from the fire chief. And Americans, you are ready to head into the world home safety
Yeah.
for the rest of your life.
Dude, that's crazy to me. How much stuff you learn just through community and through just I don't know. It blows my mind. It's just community and just doing it. Like, oh, you talk to your friend. Oh, house burned down. Crap, maybe I should do this to not do that. But once again, I've lived 30, I'm almost 30, so I've lived 30, 28. So I've lived 28 years of my life not knowing any of this stuff. So it's crazy to me.
Society of the Western societies, Americans have more injuries and accidents than any other society. You look at Japan, safety is a
Interesting.
huge focus. And that is what their society has decided to do. They had a plane crash 2 years ago in January. It collided with another plane. Everyone should have died on that airliner, but all
Wow.
292 people escaped in less than a minute. And then right now, you and I are watching news where the Delta plane flips upside
Wow.
down, or the American Airlines plane that just had a fire, and all these Americans are walking off with their bags, which you should never do, and it's
Oh,
taken
I
two or
saw
three
that.
minutes.
Yeah.
That is our society. We put
Uh,
safety first. If we had all been on that plane in Japan, we would have all died because we would have been grabbing our luggage. I can't leave my MacBook and my
yeah.
AirBuds behind. That safety's not the most important thing to me.
Damn. That's shocking me, man. I feel like we're close to the end of the
Yeah.
hour, and I want to just get through a few questions for you with one special question, and we'll kind of wrap it up. But actually, I already know the answer. What's the one educational resource that has been instrumental for you?
Definitely codes, reading them. That's what I've done is I've deciphered all the codes and made them go together for
Any specific
short-term
codes?
rentals. NFPA 101 and
I think
IRC
people
International Residential
I
Code.
think
They're
people
dry.
should just. I feel like they're very dry. Maybe you should just get it because Justin will make it more fun. So maybe just
I've made it more
take
fun. I put it all
take the course.
together.
Yes, let's just don't read that dry
Yeah.
stuff. I don't unless you want to, but just go to Justin's course. I think that's going to be the educational resource for you, for sure.
And then all my safety checklists are in Breezeway. And
Yes,
if you follow those, I don't think they like me saying this, so I'll allude around the edge a little bit, but Proper Insurance has been using my stuff for 6 years. It's the biggest discount they give is to people who have gone through my Breezeway safety training.
yeah, they tell us
They
that.
don't they never call me and go, "Hey, somebody who went through your course had a fire or died or a pool drowning."
Interesting.
So I will just you read between the lines there, but trust me, you do it, you're not going to have any incidents.
That's amazing. And last question for you. How can people get in touch with you if they want to
Short-term rental
learn from you?
safety. Just
Okay.
short-term rental safety. Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Breezeway.io. We're a tech company. /Justin takes you to the page where you can get more information, reach out to me, get access to our safety course and all the safety checklists and templates you should be following. And here's the cool thing. If you do all those templates and checklists, now you have records. You're not negligent if you're keeping records. Even if something does happen, Your Honor, here's 5 years of us changing filters, changing batteries and smoke alarms, and yet this still happened. We're not negligent.
Do that in Breezeway, actually. We have the kind of checklist. So I'm going to have to check out yours checklist.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Justin, it's been a pleasure. You made this a lot more, honestly, even more fun than I expected, even though I was expecting it to be more fun. But I just love your charisma and just energy that you brought. So thank you so much for hopping on, even though you're on vacation. Appreciate you.
Thank you. I'm never on vacation, by the way. Safety 7 days a week. I'm working.
Full-time job, baby.
It's a full-time job. I never stop.
There you go. I love it.
And that's a wrap. Thank you for listening to the Patrick Real Estate Show. If you found this episode helpful, please give us a follow and leave us a 5-star review. Your support truly means a lot. And connect with Patrick in the show notes below. Until next time.